Hey, today we're going to be torture testing the dry times of DragonWool. Not everyone sweats the same, so we're just going to go ahead and dump all this water on me. Woo! And we'll get started down the trail. All right, so I'm totally soaked. It was 46 degrees when we got out of the truck, so I'm pretty cold. So let's get started. All right, so this might seem a little bit crazy, but we wetted ourselves out because we wanted to show how quick it dries. Dry time is super important because that's what's gonna keep it from developing odor. It's also what's gonna keep you comfortable as you're working out, traveling the world, hiking. You know, the more dry you are, the more happy you are. So we're gonna go ahead and start running right here, and we'll see how quickly this stuff dries out. All right, we've been running about 10 minutes and you can already noticeably see the differences. That's where it's a little more moist, where that's dry. But definitely drying really, really quickly. If it's not drying in one spot, it's where it's overlapping right here on this other fabric. All right, so Derek's doing our backpack test. Let's have him pull off the backpack. We'll see how wet he is. You can almost see the line there, but visibly, I would say it's almost gone. How do you feel?
Feels like it's drying out quite a bit. Doesn't feel as near as wet. Still wet, especially where I have my pack, but it's
drying.
It's drying.
Yep, so let's keep going. All right, we're probably a little over 15 minutes in now. I'm definitely sweating, but it's drying really fast, especially anywhere on my body. So on Derek over here, you can see, you can't tell actually on the front, and even on the inside, you can't really tell, but that's where it's had good contact with him. But over here, where it's just on top of his other layers, that's what it's looking like. So that's your compare and contrast. Where it's not touching his body, there isn't really any heat or anything like that to help push some of the moisture out. But up on his front, it's almost eliminated.
It's basically dry. If you just touch it, it's dry to the touch. You can tell it's like a little cool still because it's just finishing drying on my front, but it feels pretty dry.
Yeah, so there you go. He's the human dryer over here. Anyways, we're gonna keep cruising. We're probably a little over halfway through the run that we plan to do, and I think we'll be dry by the end, at least anywhere that is not overlapping fabric. All right, so we're about 20 minutes into this hike slash run, mainly run. And I just wanted to point out a couple things. One, you see my head is real sweaty, but down here, I don't have any sweat going on. That's totally different for me. I'm a big sweater and I just wet out shirts whenever I'm active. But Derek was just talking about this as well, is you actually feel a cooling sensation on those spots where you typically sweat. Because just like when sweat's evaporating off your skin, it creates a cooling reaction. The same thing happens with DragonWool. It evaporates it so quickly, you feel that cooling sensation on those moist parts. So pretty cool stuff. It's one of my favorite things about DragonWool, is you can literally feel it performing like nothing else I've ever experienced. You can feel it actually evaporating that moisture. You can feel that cooling sensation. So we're getting close to the truck, so we'll pick it up and run it in now. Oh. All right, we made it back to the truck. Let's diagnose this. So in front of me, especially like right here, is totally dry. I have started to sweat up and around my neck. I've got this zipped up, and so I can feel it. It's just not fully drying right here because I'm sweating. Basically anywhere I'm not usually a sweater, down through here, completely dry. And then even here, actually, even this overlap right here has become dry for me. Let's take Derek's backpack off and we'll see what he looks like.
In front of me, same thing as Tayson. I'm just like completely dry inside and out in the hall, where I don't really sweat a lot normally.
Just turn into the sun.
this back part of me, there's this little flap you can see right here, where if you look at the side, that's not really touching anything. This is where the back of the hoodie comes down, so if you bend over, you're never really exposed. But that doesn't really touch you too much, and it's still pretty wet.
Yeah.
But I mean, that being said, it still has dried out on its own, I would say decently well. I've been wearing this backpack the whole time running, and so there's been no airflow on my back. Look and see how wet it is.
You can kind of see a little bit darker area right here, but it's almost gone.
This is my sleeve, and that's dry.
Yeah, you can see the difference in the colors there, hopefully. In the dry sleeve, more damp back, or not fully dried back.
Compared to the beginning when my back was fully drenched, that's still a fairly big difference, even being covered up the entire time by a non-breathable backpack. There's no, on the back of this drifter pack, this is a quick travel pack and fold up in its own pocket. There's no way for air to get in behind it on your back, so anything that has dried on my back is just from heat pushing it out.
Yeah. So I would say after being totally drenched and dripping, our very first checkpoint at 10 minutes, I would say I was comfortable from that point forward. Like, yes, there was a little bit of moisture there, but it wasn't chafing, it wasn't bothering me. It had dried out enough that it was just like any other shirt being like wetted out while I run or something like that. So really for me, in 10 minutes, it was back to functional. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say you'd be comfortable when you first dump that water on you. It's cold, it's uncomfortable, but 10 to 15 minutes you'll be comfortable. Even if you're not fully dry yet, you'll be at a point where it's drying and you're totally comfortable.
Yeah, my bet is we'll jump in the truck, we'll turn the air on, and we'll drive back to the office, and we'll be totally dry, except for maybe, like I said, that's part that he's going to be sitting on in the truck. But that's the DragonWool torture test. Hope you guys liked it. The stuff is really just something you got to get your hands on and use it to experience it, because you can feel it working. You can feel it pulling the moisture off, and you can feel that cooling sensation. It's really, really remarkable. Plus you get that wool next to your skin. It's odor resistant because of that wool and because of the dry times. Because yes, there could be odor that develops in the polyester, but it dries so quickly, especially the polyester point, that to me in my testing side by side, it has been the same as if it was a 90% wool product. So test it out. If you want to see other torture tests for DragonWool, sawtooth pants, or other of our gear, let us know in the comments. Thanks for joining us.